comrades, it is I, your supreme overlord, Vanny Vanilla. I'm just gonna go ahead and pat myself on the back. I predicted a few things. Feels good to be proven right, huh? Episode 6 of G-Witch has been released, and I have to admit, I swelled up a bit. Who would have thought that I would have given Ellen so much crap in the beginning of my reviews, only to actually feel sorry for him? We get some more hints and motivations in this show, as well as our very first casualty. Every episode of this series builds upon the next one, but I do have a criticism, and we'll address that later on in this video in regards to the ferret. Maybe my issue gets addressed later on, maybe not, but I still have to say something about it. So let's get that spoiler warning in there and jump right into what we just witnessed. We jump right into where we left off between Lady Prospera and the Pell technology scientist, Belmeria Winston. The two were old colleagues back in the Vanitas Institute. Lady Prospera is surprised Belmeria is working with Pell. Belmeria says she has no choice. Perhaps she's being held against her will? Belmeria says there's no way the area was built by just Lady Prospera herself, and is asking what is she planning to do. She even goes as far as to question why Lady Prospera is using her own daughter to pilot. Lady Prospera deflects these questions by saying Belmeria is a lot more talkative than she was before. But here is where we get a hint on Lady Prospera's intentions. Before getting cut off by Lady Prospera, Belmeria mentions a 21-year-old something. Grudge, perhaps? Is she out for revenge? But the prologue episode took place 13 years ago, so there's something else involved here. Lady Prospera becomes more and more mysterious. Anyway, so Lady Prospera drops the mic on Belmeria and asks her how many pilots has Pell's Gundam gone through. It seems that the Gundam is a killer of pilots after all, and how foreshadowing for this episode. Just when I thought Lady Prospera was on the ropes with not having all of the answers, it seems like she knew something was up with Pell and smoked out Belmeria. She fully believes the Ariel will win against the ferret. We return to Earth House, where Aliyah is doing some fortune-telling with Lilik. The girls are still trying to figure out why Ellen was speaking so harshly to Suletta. Suletta is still hung up on if asking about his birthday is what triggered him, but the ever-so-tsundere Miorine interrupts and blames Suletta for falling for people's charms so easily. She cannot accept that Suletta took on this duel without consulting her first. We can clearly tell Miorine wears the pants in this relationship. If Suletta ends up losing this duel, Miorine will never forgive her. A lot of people like to champion this relationship between Miorine and Suletta, but come on. We all know at this point Miorine is in it for herself. It remains to be seen if any actual love will blossom from this, but once again, as of episode 6, it's a relationship of convenience for Miorine. After all, if Ellen wins this fight, he would become the holder and so long ticket to Earth. Meanwhile, let's catch up and see how Guel is doing. Oh, he was just disowned by Jaturk Company. I told you that duel had high stakes. I predicted it. I called this one in a previous review. Guel really can't catch a break. Evicted from his own family's house and all support cut off, all that his father is covering is his tuition. Guel's last words before he leaves is for Lauda. He tells him to take care of Jaturk House. I have a sneaky feeling Guel might end up in Earth House somehow, but as far as for a mobile suit, he has nothing. No more Jaturk meets no more Delanzas. It'll be interesting to see where Guel ends up next. So with the duel coming up, you guessed it, we get yet another duel committee meeting between the two combatants. The location of the duel this time will be in the airspace outside the front, or in other words, space! This is the first time Suletta will be having a duel in this environment. Ellen states that if he wins, the area will belong to him. As for Suletta, she doesn't know what she wants in this fight. But, luckily for her, she has until the day of the duel to decide what her stake will be. Shadiq then mentions that Ellen's walls are higher than usual, and both him and Guel have acted strange since Suletta showed up. Shadiq reveals his hand. He wants to know more about Suletta. The reverse harem just keeps getting bigger. Back at Earth House, it's revealed that the Ariel does not have a thruster unit. In the first episode, we see the Ariel maneuver through space when Suletta was rescuing Miorine. I think it's safe to say that the normal thrusters on the Ariel are good enough for maneuvering, but in terms of a combat situation, it'll need a thruster unit to be on par with the Ferret. Martin is fearing this battle, and for good reason. Pell Technologies specializes in high mobility mobile suits, as we saw before with the Zawards. But Nika has an idea. They open a container in the hangar and find what looks like 2 thruster units and a Gatling gun? This is the first time that we've seen physical weapons in this series. So far, everything has been beam weaponry. Despite the thing literally falling apart by the slightest touch, Choo Choo gives Nika the seal of approval. If anyone can make this junk into a functioning thruster unit, it's Nika. The problem is the cost on renovating this hunk of metal. It's practically put Earth House in the red. Our favorite gamblers Ohelo and Nuno remind Suletta that all of their money is on this fight, and if she doesn't win, it's bankruptcy. No pressure, right, Suletta? Suddenly, we see a mysterious single flame. Ellen seems to be having a dream during some sort of meditative test. According to the results, Ellen should be fine for his next battle, but Ellen suggests that Belmeria means he won't survive the battle after this one. But everything is suddenly interrupted with this shocking appearance. Another Ellen Saris? Or perhaps the real Ellen Saris? This Ellen is the complete opposite of enhanced person number 4. Talkative, arrogant, clearly a dick. The real Ellen says he showed up to pay his respects to them. He is very caught up with the whole situation and says that if the other Ellen wins, he will not only get his face back, but he will also get a citizen ID number. This is really some crazy, confusing stuff. Here I was thinking Ellen may have been a clone, but it looks like they just took his face off? So many questions remain about the real Ellen and these enhanced persons. Is the real Ellen a witch? Is he also an enhanced person? Just who is this guy? Pell Technologies is probably the most evil in this series. We then see Suletta testing out the Ariel's new thruster unit. Turns out Nika really turned junk into gold. She asks Suletta if she's ready for the fight against Ellen tomorrow, but Suletta has some reservations. She mentions how Ellen was not only kind to her because it was a part of his plan, but even still, she was happy because of that. Miorine then cranks up the tsundere dial and agrees with Ellen. Suletta is annoying, and she annoys her by meddling into her affairs and acts without consulting her. Goodness gracious, Miorine, give her a break. But Miorine has a way with words. Move forward, gain 2. She definitely can motivate, and her words touch Suletta. So what does Suletta do? She goes straight to the Pell House hangar and asks for Ellen. She's got a lot of balls to do something like that. The Pell students are not only shunned by Ellen, they don't even know a thing about the ferret. Interesting, because who does the mechanic work on it? Suletta insists to talk to Ellen and broadcasts throughout the Pell House. She asks why did he say the things that he said to her? Why does he want the Ariel? Unfortunately, Ellen gave no response. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Suletta then sings Happy Birthday to Ellen. A flash of that flickering flame comes across Ellen's memory, and Ellen looks as if he's seen a ghost. Ellen immediately calls Suletta, and it worked! Ellen then tells Suletta to go home. He doesn't have a birthday, but Suletta remains defiant. She suggests for today to be his birthday, but Ellen just hangs up. Sorry, Suletta. He still sees you as annoying. The next day, we finally arrive to the duel. After her brief talk with Ellen, she has figured out what her stake will be in this duel. As the 2 mobile suits enter the airspace, Shadiq welcomes the Turk House's new leader, Lauda. Lauda is in no mood for formalities, and Cecilia pokes fun at him by asking if he's still sore about the last duel. Alright, someone needs to shut this bitch up. I hope Lauda someday does it. Suletta declares her stake in the duel. If she wins, she wants Ellen to tell her all about himself. The Earthians see this as a love confession, and Miorine calls Suletta annoying, but with a smile. After the oath was declared, the duel begins. Unlike the duel between Ellen and Gwell, the Ariel tries to fight range with range. The thruster unit is working very well. Take a bow, Nika. You might end up as one of the best mechanics in Gundam. This duel is so intense that we get to see a side of Ellen that we have not seen before. He is full of anger and hatred towards Suletta. The ferret begins to emit that familiar red glow. I've got to say, the dialogue in this show has been great so far, and this duel in particular is the best dialogue that we have heard so far. Much more intense and meaningful than every single Mikazuki fight in Iron-Blooded Orphans. Ellen says that he is a disposable pawn for the sake of the Gundam. It's safe to say, with Suletta constantly prying, Ellen took this personally. He claims that Suletta has everything. Friends, family, a past, a future, that damn wish list that she's working on, and of all things that she has, hope. Because he knows his life will end, but Suletta isn't an enhanced person. She will continue living. Ellen even pleads to just let him have this victory. If he were to win, his life would change, and presumably for the better. Ellen then raises the permit score to 3 and launches the ferret bits. The swarm of bits against the Ariel's gun bits. One of the gun bits are taken out, but something strange happens. Suletta yells out, "Everyone," and the bits suddenly move to protect the little gun bit. They form a shield over it and deflect the ferret's attack. 2 of the Ariel's gun bits then take out the ferret's bits. The stunned gun bit then regains its functions and rush to meet the other bits. Why is this strange? With her calling them out as everyone, it's possible each one of these gun bits are sentient. This is another example of how advanced the technology is in this era. I'm very curious to see how Suletta has so much control over the Ariel and its gun bits when she has not raised the permit score, nor has she had her little blue glowy thingy going on. Ellen is starting to feel the pressure and raises the permit score to 4. Remember, during the prologue episode, Suletta's father raised the permit score to 4, and it eventually killed him. With the increased speed for both pilots, it's a matter of time of who will give out first, Ellen's body or the makeshift thruster unit on the Ariel. Both mobile suits zoom past the boundary of the duel. Belmeria knows what's happening with Ellen's body. The data storm is exceeding the acceptable limits. Ellen was so fatigued he nearly pulls off a cuts on an asteroid. Suletta sees her opening and launches her gun bits. They all fire at once to destroy the Ferric's long rifle, but, surprise surprise, the feet on the Ferric have beams too. One of the beams destroy the Ariel's thruster unit. With no thruster unit, there's no way the Ariel will match the speed of the Ferric. Seeing victory in his sight, Ellen launches every bit he has against the Ariel. The Ariel is hit by a few of those bits, and Ellen sees this as his chance. And then, a phenomenon occurs. Despite the Ariel being stunned, it calls the gun bits to surround the mobile suit. They then emit a powerful energy wave that disables the Ferric's gun bits. The Harocam was also knocked out, and the wave continued towards the Ferric. Ellen is in excruciating pain, possibly because he was affected by this EMP-like attack. He then sees the silhouette of laughing children moving around his mobile suit. The Ariel's gun bits then fire at the Ferric, blowing off a leg, an arm, and for the victory, its blade antenna. Suletta has defeated Ellen. Shadiq glares at the Ariel. You can imagine what's going on in his head after what he just witnessed. I'm pretty sure Shadiq is going to be next in line to fight Suletta. Suletta thanks the Ariel and mentions that she heard her voice louder than ever. Meanwhile, Ellen inside the Ferric is in a daze. He starts seeing that single flame again, but this time, the vision comes in more clearer. A birthday cake with a single candle on it, held by what I would imagine should be his mother. Suletta had already opened the Ferric's cockpit and reached out to Ellen. The two share a moment, and Ellen reveals that he did have someone special who celebrated his birthday. This whole time, he thought he had nothing, but he realizes he did have something buried deep within his memories. Suletta says that it's wrong for him to think that he had nothing, because there are people who would celebrate his birthday, including herself. So at this point I'm thinking, well, that's it. What a great happy ending. This is the end of the episode, right? They're floating in space, probably talking to one another, and all's well that ends well.
Wrong!
What are you, nuts? This is Gundam. You thought they were going to have a happy-go-lucky school drama? Well, get a load of this What we can assume is the next day, around 9:55 in the morning, Miorina and Suletta wait on a bench. Looks like Suletta is having that date with Ellen after all. A real date, as opposed to the train wreck that happened in the last episode. Suletta thanks Miorina for letting her go out, and Miorina just reminds her to obey her curfew. Oh please, what are you going to do? Are you going to ban her onto the couch? Maybe bar her from sex? None of that's happening anyways. So Belmeria is then seen pleading with Nugan. She says number 4 is experienced, and they could always choose to feedback whatever dual data they had on him. But the ladies of Pell Technologies are as cold can be. An enhanced person who cannot carry out their orders has no future. They even said they still have some spares, meaning they still have a certain number of Ellen clones outside of the original. They then command that the next one be prepared promptly, and then we see Ellen tied up to a wall. Ellen actually doesn't show his usual stoic self. He actually has a smile on his face. His life changed for the better and his eyes were opened, all thanks to Suletta. Ellen then begins to sing the happy birthday song.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hold up. Whoa. What? Did we just get our first casualty of the series? Holy sh! I did not see any of this coming. So Ellen 4 was killed off, so I'm sure Ellen 5 will be coming up. But my goodness, I'm going to be honest, comrades. I don't think I can hear the birthday song the same way after watching this series. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. The dark twist at the end will go down as a top moment in Gundam history. Just think, we're only 6 episodes in. There is so much more to go. But with all that said, I do have a gripe to bring up. And that's to address the Gundam in the room, the Ferret. So remember in the first 2 episodes, they made such a huge stink about whether the Ariel was a Gundam or not. But then here comes the Ferret, who after 2 duels, we see what it could do, and it's not questioned at all. The Ferret used bits against Gwell. That should have caused a data storm. That should have brought up some red flags. Shadiq? Roji? Anyone? No? But instead, it's completely ignored, and the focus is still on the Ariel. Now, maybe I'm jumping the gun, but I was at least hoping for someone to address what happened with the Ferret in the previous episode. It's just a minor gripe, and I'm sure it'll be addressed. But I would be honest if I didn't have some criticism about the show. Also, in case you're keeping track at home, we still haven't seen Delling since episode 2. Anywho, comrades, that's the video. Please let me know what you think down below. What are your predictions about Ellen and the Ellen clones? Who will duel Suletta next? And what will happen in the next episode, Shall We Gundam? And as always, don't forget to follow my Instagram, vanny.vanilla.v3. My DMs are always open, so feel free to message me at any time. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and comment. Supposedly, it helps with the algorithm, so we'll see if that's true. Subscriptions are always nice too. Until next time, comrades. Bye! Congratulations, you made it to the end. The cringe is over, unless you want more. Do it. Click those videos in the box. Do it. Do it.
Happy birthday.
Life could be a dream. Life could be a dream. Do, shaboom. Life could be a dream. Shaboom. If I could take you up and